Finishing a video game can be a bittersweet experience. The characters and story that we may have been enjoying for hours, days, months, or in our case sometimes years, is suddenly over, and that finality can be even more jarring if we are unhappy with the way the game ends. After investing emotionally into the narrative journey of a group of characters or spending a great deal of time developing specific skills in order to beat the game, the last thing any gamer wants is to feel like the story didn't come to a satisfying conclusion.
Halo 5. Sorry. I had something in my throat. Now, sure, there are games with truly bad endings that make us wish that we never played them in the first place. But for me, it's not just about how the game resolves its central conflict. Sometimes I'm just left wanting more. Perhaps the game was just starting to get fun, and suddenly it's over. Or maybe I was just starting to get the hang of the controls when I realized I've just beat the last boss and finished the game. And if we're lucky, sometimes a generous publisher will continue to support their release with additional post-game content. Maybe, a season pass that adds an epilogue, or maybe they build on the story from a different character's point of view. While that's nice, it also costs me more money, which, now that I think about it, makes the publisher seem a little less generous, a bit more opportunistic, I suppose.
What I prefer is what I find in a game like Super Mario 3D World on the Switch, which cleverly hides some of its most exciting levels after we have successfully completed the game and defeated Bowser. The credits roll, the music plays, and it seems like our journey is over and the game has been completed.
But don't turn your console off yet.
Don't do it.
Shortly after the credits finish rolling, an entirely new area opens up in the clouds, full of brand new missions to complete, and many of those levels contain some of the best content that the game has to offer. And all of that gaming goodness is just sitting there waiting for me a few steps past the place where it seemed like my game had reached its slightly premature ending.
And if I had simply turned off the game and put it away the moment it seemed like I was finished and I had done all there was to do, I would have missed the best part.
I found myself in this spot in my real-life adventures many times as well, more times than I can count. I have sat and stared at that abrupt and unforgiving game over screen in my mind's eye after it feels like the credits have already rolled and the story ended with a whimper instead of a bang, leaving all the great things that I hoped were going to happen as unfulfilled dreams and seemingly unanswered prayers. And in those moments, I would try to rationalize this, listing maybe the reasons why my story is going to end in such a disappointing fashion. I've made too many mistakes. I waited too long, missed a very important chance. Maybe I'm just too old and this chance belongs to someone else now. Or it seems like I've hit a wall and the Lord doesn't have any more plans for me. Well, if that sounds like a place you're currently at or have recently been, I've got some good news for you. But first, I need to invite you to a party. No, not a Mario party. Those are terrible. None of us really like them because everyone always is stealing our stars. Except for one person, the person who steals the stars. They have a great time. The rest of us, not so much. But this party is much better because it's not just any party. It is a wedding party.
Few things will bring a party crashing to a halt faster than running out of food and drinks. People start checking their watches and suddenly remembering they had someplace else to be as soon as the pizza boxes are empty. And it is never a good sign when the party host starts frantically looking in the freezer hoping to find, maybe bagel bites or pizza rolls or something.
And in this particular predicament, this was no mere party. This was a grand wedding, and there's not enough bagel bites in the world to salvage the disaster of running out of refreshments during such a festive occasion. But fortunately, this party was far from over. You find the story in John chapter 2, when Jesus was invited with his mother and his disciples to a wedding where they had run out of liquid refreshment. When Jesus was approached by Mary, and she had said, hey, they're out of wine, Jesus said, "Woman, what does your concern have to do with me? My hour has not yet come." Now, the party at that point could have ended on a sour note. The final curtain would have fallen on an embarrassed host, as well as that newly married couple. That's not a great way to start things out. But Jesus had something better in mind. Now, he didn't simply refill the guests' cups. He could have, or he could have just distracted them with some parables while the disciples ran to the local grocery store. I'm sure he had plenty to share. But he did something more, not just for those attending the wedding, but for all of us to read and understand as well. He made something better, surpassing their wildest expectations and turning this potentially disappointing endgame into a brand new start that was even better than what they had just finished.
Here's the great news for you, me, and all of us. If you are watching this, your game is not finished, and the season you are currently in is not your final one. There's content beyond the end game for all of us. Not just more of the same, but the best part still lies ahead if we choose to press forward into it.
Now, sure, we may feel that the ending of our story, where we're at now, is dissatisfying or incomplete, but that's because there's still more to come. The Lord has designed every aspect of our journey, and He specializes in saving the best for last. Christ's story did not end in His suffering on the cross, or even at the excitement of seeing the empty tomb. The best part was yet to be, and it is for us too, when He welcomes us into the eternal joy that He has been busily preparing for us.
If you feel like the party stopped a long time ago and there isn't much left to celebrate, don't be dismayed. The Lord who wrote our beginning also created our end. And if we allow Him, He will turn even the most ordinary of circumstances, like some plain old water and some pots, into something extraordinary.
Now, sometimes the game might seem to be over, but there's another level waiting around the corner, with new challenges to conquer and a better ending than the one we were prepared to settle for. He does His best work on the other side of the tombs that were intended to be the final resting place for our hopes and dreams. So let's stop staring at that empty tomb, looking for Him to show up in the place that represents the death of our joy and the premature ending of our story.
There is another chapter, a better one, beyond our comprehension on the other side of this sorrow.
So let's lift up our eyes and find Him in the place He promised He would be, ready and waiting to launch our next adventure with a new commission and a deeper anointing that can only be discovered by pressing through the valley of the shadow of death and into the post-game content that couldn't be unlocked any other way.